Hey, everybody. We have with us again returning guests. I've been excited about this. Can't wait. Greater Boston Paranormal Associates. They're joining us again. Have you had a ghost ship just suddenly show up in port? Haunted ship, a house that is just driving you crazy, and you need somebody to call? Well, hopefully you're going to call Greater Boston Paranormal, because if not, it's going to be a little awkward here in a few minutes. But they run some amazing tours on the USS Salem. They have their own personal, just they go through the tours. They show you everything. They have their own Madame Leota. She does tarot, Ouija boards. She amazing talent. And I mean, we're the Three Beards podcast, but let's be honest. Don DeCristofaro, he's got the epic mustache. I mean, I think that's why Sam Elliott shaved his off. It's just because he couldn't compete. Because he decided, it's like, yeah, the game's over. He wins. But hey, everybody, Greater Boston Paranormal Associates is now. Welcome to the Three Beards podcast. My name's Craig, along with Austin and Chris.
Passed to a new generation of Americans born in this century.
Let me out.
I'm afraid that is right.
Then live to send the innocent to their death? Is this justice and honor in Massachusetts colony?
All right, we are still sans Chris, because he's out seeing his nephew, and you've lost some sleeves, but I think that's because he's wearing our new tank top.
Can't see it though.
Can't see it because he's got to turn around because he ordered it with the logo on the back.
I didn't know that. Future reference. When it says front and back, that's what you're going to order. I didn't know. It's really weird, but yeah. So I got another one coming with the front and a long sleeve on the front too. So it'll be a lot better.
Well, hey, after that amazing intro, let's bring on Greater Boston Paranormal Associates, Dawn, DeCristofaro, and Eva Nagy. How are you both tonight?
Thank you so much for having us. So
Feeling good.
Absolutely.
Feeling good.
No, I remember everybody. I didn't mention it here. Facebook. Go to the Greater Boston Paranormal Associates. Follow that. I'm going to. It's Pat's, Sandra.
You gotta name everybody.
Jim, right? Jim. Yeah. I'm trying. They're Thursdays at 7. All of our dear friends have their shows at 7. So a little inside game. If you guys actually see it, in order to, I'm so loyal to these people. I have them on multiple devices at the same time. So that way I can actually have both shows going on at the same time. So that way it's one of those, so that way I'm not jumping back and forth. So yeah, Jim's on there, hi, hey guys. So I think Hearn is his last name, correct? Yep.
Yeah, Jimmy Hearn, yep.
Yeah,
yep.
There was a
gang.
But so you can watch their show, the Greater Boston Paranormal podcast, is on Thursdays at 7:00, and they just had a guest on there, which her name is failing me.
Sandra
Padilla.
Sandra. Yeah, she was really interesting, especially when she was telling her story about, I want to say it was her dad's place that had something was going on, and she went and talked, and then the lady turned herself, basically put her consciousness into an owl, and it was searching around. Oh, that was I was like, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was our first guest. I was telling you, Craig, it went really well. I think we're gonna try to branch out and do a little bit more of that because it was really great. We really enjoyed doing it.
It's one thing. I mean, it's hard to think. I mean, because it's nerve-wracking when we first did it, when you have a guest on, because it's like me. I'm really, I've got this pile of notes over here. It's chaos. But for me, it's because I want to be prepared. I'm all stressed out stuff. But then I get on Showtime, and it's just like everything just kind of melts away. And then you realize when you have a guest, it's not me in my head trying, okay, I got to keep this thing going. I can do something as simple as ask you guys, how awesome is it to be able to have tours again?
Oh,
yeah. And now it's not me trying to come up with.
Supposed to start talking then, so that you could.
That was a little cue. Yes. So, what's it like having the tours? Being able to actually get back to what you guys have loved to do.
Yeah, it's really nice. I mean, we did some last year, not as many as normal. Of course, we didn't start until late, and there was a lot of awkwardness. COVID awkwardness in terms of masks and smaller groups and trying to do the best we could to keep people safe, but at the same time give them the experience that they were paying for. But it's awesome to be back to normal and to be given the tours the way we like to do them. It is just beyond fun.
And I feel like we're busier than ever this year, almost back-to-back weekends. Right.
Well, yeah. Well, I was going to say, busier too, but it also, one of the things really, when we were talked about having you back on, is you guys have also had it, from what I've seen from some of your stuff, it really seems like there has also been an activity increase on the ship. Like you guys are starting to really get some incredible evidence. And that's one of the things I wanted to have you guys back on to talk about, is some of the new evidence that you've been getting through EVPs and actual interactions with yourselves and people on there. Like, update. I mean, I never saw the sticker or the merchandise for the Beast. By the way, I was waiting for that. I'm thinking that it would just be a killer patch to have somewhere, just the Beast. So yeah.
I know Sandra needs to get on that.
Yeah, I'm like, it's right there. I'm like, USS Salem, the Beast. I mean, come on. But
yeah, it seems kind of natural. You're right.
Yeah, that is. So what has been, since we talked to you last, I think I'm trying to do, I want to say it's been somewhere around like 8 or 9 months. If it might have been sooner than that, but what has been, probably put you on the spot, the craziest thing that's happened on a tour since then? And it could be anything, sounds, it could just be total interactions. I mean, you guys don't have a lot of stuff being thrown, I don't think, on these tours, do you?
No.
I know, starting in February, we had a private team come aboard that was with Amazon Prime, ready to film for their episode. And while they were still preparing their camera work, and right in the beginning of the night, say 8 o'clock, John, Jim, and myself started hearing this loud, intense banging coming out of the boardroom. And I immediately grabbed my camera and I started filming because I'm like, I need to be better about this. And we were trying to pinpoint where it was coming from. And the video recording doesn't quite capture what we heard in person, because in person it's so much more intense. In person, it sounded like something was clawing its way through a closed hatch. You could hear the hatch door trying to wiggle open, to the point that Don and I were topside because we expected it to be trespassers. And instead, we ended up hearing disembodied voices, but no people at all on the top deck.
No, it was, and the voices were so clear. It's kind of funny. Eva's taking video, and I'm walking in front of her. And at one point, I turn to her and I say, "Stay right there," because I'm going to open a hatch, and there's no doubt in my mind that there are some guys inside this. It's a hatch just to a passageway. And there's no doubt in my mind that there are guys in this passageway. And I told Eva to just stop. And sure enough, open that hatch, and there was nobody in there. But It's where
Wow.
those bangs were coming from. It's where the banging on the hatches were coming from. No doubt about it.
And
Did you
it
ever
was
get?
captured
Oh, no.
on video because we were walking on ice in snow because it was still so cold at that time. So all you hear is the crunching of our boots on the snow. But Dawn and I could hear very clearly people just talking and whispering to each other. And we're like, we're going to catch these guys. And nobody was actually there.
Yeah, because you'd be able to hear the sound if they were running away, type
Oh,
thing
yeah.
too. And
And that
did
was
you ever?
that was far and away the loudest thing I've ever heard on the ship. Was the banging on the hatch that night.
Did you ever get any other evidence to back up like who that might have been? I mean, was it a former ship crew? Was it, because that's if you ever got an idea of like who it was.
One of the things that started to happen to us, Craig. We have a I'm going to call it a new entity on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been a lot of discussion. We've had a lot of sensitives aboard, a lot of mediums and psychics aboard who have given us all kinds of different opinions as to what it is. But the most people seem to feel as though it's not human. And one of the issues we're starting to have is that it lies. So
What?
in a lot of cases, we think, I've taken to using my dowsing rods a lot, and we'll think we're talking to an entity that we've known for quite some time, but we have to start throwing trick questions at it because we find that it's this other entity making believe it's someone else. So
Wow.
It's really kind of a struggle in that regard.
Now, where do you think this entity arrived from? I mean, was it through activities done on the ship, or was this something that just, because you always have that, we'll get into the preach. This is why you don't use the Ouija board. It opens the portals. Yeah, you get those things. I mean, my little freakouts, about why I don't like it, but you always have those people. That's why you don't do these things But do you think it had something to do with like actual research techniques on the ship, or do you think this was just something where somebody might have brought something with them? They may have had something attached to them that came on a tour, and it just decided, what, I like it better here than where I was before.
I was waiting for Eva.
You're frozen.
What I can I didn't want to step on. Is it Miss Leotis? Is that what we're calling her now?
Yeah. Madam Leota.
My opinion is that this is something that's always been there. But now that we're interacting more, I think we kind of stumbled onto it. And now that it knows that we're aware of it, it's starting to play with us a little bit. I think it moves from place to place. Initially we thought it was hiding from us. But, the ship is such a big place. I mean, the ship has 4 engine rooms, only one of which are open. So if it really wanted to hide from us, it could go someplace where nobody would ever find it. But it doesn't do that. It goes someplace where we eventually stumble across it again.
Yeah, this could have been an old entity too that was brought over from, because it did the rescue missions in Greece. And so this definitely could have been something that was brought from old world through the refugees, brought onto the ship, because I mean it's the heaven, for jinn, over in that part of the world. So it wouldn't be beyond the realm of possibility that something could have been like this. And like I said, it's just been there observing, and then just decided, hey, I think it's it's time to actually just test the water, see what these guys are made of.
I feel like there's a couple of theories on this. It could be that it came from the earthquake because of such tragedy and trauma. It's possible that somebody misused the Ouija board, and that's where it's coming from. Because from what I've experienced with the ship in the last few years is that it hasn't made itself known until last year. But this year it's causing such a ruckus that there's no way to ignore it. Like, there's definitely something on the ship, and it's very strong. and it's very intense. And it started this February where we're like, okay, something's changed. Something's much stronger now.
Yeah, that's. Yeah, I know. I've been watching. I'm trying to remember what episode it was too. You had one, like you said, the mediums. The psychic. There's one lady. She went into. I'm gonna butcher the name of the room, but it's the one where you have all the tables lined out with the chairs. It's almost like a mess hall. It's what it kind of looks like to me.
Probably the wardroom, or
could be the word. Yeah, it might be the wardroom. Where she was describing, she goes, I just sense like everybody's lined up here, and she was pointing along the wall, like she was describing it, and that was watching these, and that's one of the things as I've been paying attention. I'm like, these are really cool, just listening to these things, and that's I really enjoy watching this. I mean, I can't wait till I can get over there and get on one of these tours with you guys.
No, it's been great having these people aboard who all of whom seem to have different opinions as to what we're dealing with. It's not only has it been a lot of fun, but it's been an education for me anyway. Because these are people who have been doing this stuff for a very long time and who've been exposed to a lot of different things, and it's really been an education. I mean, some of the spirits that we talk to on a very regular basis, they'll tell us that they can't talk about him. Like they'll get in trouble if they talk about him.
Wow.
Some of them say they'd like to leave, but they can't because he won't let them leave. Before we go too far, I want to tell April Rutherford that of all the opinions we've had, my opinion is that we're dealing with not an earth elemental, but a water elemental. I at one point started to feel as though this may have been something that was there even before the ship got there. And at some point basically saw all the spirits aboard the ship and said, yum, these are mine.
So maybe the jinn, like maybe there is a possibility that this could be, because that would be right along that line, especially if you think it's a water element. So yeah, this could be, which would definitely find a home on a ship.
No
would
question.
Definitely be.
And I mean, yeah. Like I said, I think it may have been in the river forever, long before us, certainly. But again, that's, We've heard 100 different opinions, and that was mine very early on, and I certainly haven't seen anything or heard anything that swayed me away from that.
Now, have you found certain areas on the ship that tend to be more prone to encounters with this entity, or is it just now kind of just random? Like you're going to just be walking along and kind of like Jack in the Box, pop, here I am, and just Austin's off running down the corridor because he's just freaked out,
We found his hiding spot on the ship, so he likes to lurk and hang out in the anchor windlass room. That's where we're getting a lot of activity now. So if we go to that spot, a lot of our equipment goes off. You can hear movement inside that room by itself. You could hear disembodied voices tapping and stuff like that. And when you speak of him, you tend to get activity generating from that as well.
If we go, promise me that's where we're going to put Austin with a voice recorder.
Yes. Well, I think I asked before, when is your busiest times of the year? Sorry, what month?
I don't, Eva, correct me if I'm wrong, but I really haven't seen. Well, I when you say busiest, you mean in terms of volume of activity on the ship?
The tourists and stuff, because I want to where
I got it. Yeah, it's like the tourism and stuff, like when you seem to have the most volume and requests for tours.
Because I want to do a Three Beards, like just a night where you guys take us three on the entire ship and just make a night of it. That'd be awesome.
We could certainly do that. We'd love to do that. And I feel kind of bad about this season because last year, starting in July when we opened up, was when the ship exploded. Not only from an activity standpoint, but in terms of how busy, we couldn't schedule the tours fast enough. They sold out as soon as we scheduled them. And I feel a little bit badly because this year we haven't scheduled as many public investigations as we did, because we've got so many groups that want to rent the ship for private investigations.
It's crazy.
You know what I mean? It's been like you said, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I mean, we forward to nights like we had something coming up this coming Saturday that looks like it kind of fell through. And now we're excited about having a night to ourselves on the ship where we don't have any guests to babysit or anything like that. And we can try out a bunch of different theories that we have about what's going on in different areas and things of that nature. So,
and from when I evaluated, it seems like the private events tend to generate more activity, especially when there's sensitives aboard. At least from what I've been seeing, there's a lot of energy that gets generated, and then the next night it kind of peters out. It kind of like calms down. So I don't know if it just takes that much energy that it just can't do it the next night, but it's been really intense with the private groups.
Now, does that feel like that's because, I don't know, in a way I guess the way, like, I'm trying in my head, I'm trying on the fly, I'm trying to think about it. It's like, if you go to a party and everybody's just kind of like, standoffish, nobody really, it's not really a lot of fun. But when you go to an event and everybody has a lot in common, it seems like the night flies, and it seems like there's just like buzz, like it's a huge, success. And I'm wondering, like, when you bring the sensitives onto the ship, as in these things, I wonder if it's because now the spirits know they can see them, and they can, it's both way, it's like there's actually that connection, and that's why it's so much more active than, as opposed to if you were to just bring me on, they're like, well, I can try to do this all I want, but he's not going to see me. So it's just going to be quiet. Whereas the psychic's going to be like, holy crap, there's a guy over there waving at me right now. I'm like, I'm going to just go, I believe you, but I don't see anything.
First of all, Craig, what the psychics say is they're coming at me from all directions.
Yeah, I know. That's why I like.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they come down below. They get into the wardroom, which is the room you were talking about. It's where we kind of get. It's the biggest room, and it's where we kind of gather the guests initially. Generally speaking, a sensitive walks into that room and says they're all around me and coming at me from all directions.
Wow.
It's crazy. I mean, it's crazy.
Now, I'm trying to remember. We've talked about this, I think, on the last one too. It's some of the equipment. Some people don't believe in it. It's like the SLS cameras. Some believe it's pretty much just it's the software that's creating the little like the little dancing images that you'll see up on a chair. But there's other ones that actually. Have you guys used that very much on the ship? And have you been, do you find that it's credible? Like it's bringing credible results? Or because I've always think, like you said, when you have the sensitive saying like they're all around me, I see one sitting right there on the shelf. Well, if you have the SLS camera and boom, there's a little figure right on the shelf. I've always wondered if you guys have had that kind of luck with that device.
We've used the SLS cameras sparingly. I feel like the one time that it was accurate, super accurate, on point was when we had a private group and we were using the Ouija board, and we were testing a theory out with the Ouija board. And so we were in the CPO mess room. The Ouija board was on the table, and we were testing to see if it would do it again in terms of the board spinning by itself like it had done the night before, where we had heard growling and a girl was scratched. And so the next night,
you take a step back though, because you got to tell them, because what we were trying to test out was beyond anything I'd ever seen before. You said you'd seen it one other time, but Craig, this is, and I gotta say, when you're talking about the Ouija board earlier, we never use the Ouija board unless Eva's there. none of us
Yeah,
use the Ouija board unless Eva's there. And
that's why I
this
refer to her as Madame Leota.
Yeah,
you know, she's you know, yeah, that's
there you go.
that's one of those. Yeah, where's
so,
our person? It's like
this particular night, we had a private group aboard, and they had a young girl. I think she said she was 20, Eva.
20 years old, new to the
who was
team.
an empath, and her and Eva started to use the Ouija board in the chief petty officer's mess, which I think may be the most active room aboard the ship right at the moment.
Mhm.
And as they put their fingers on the planchette, the board started to spin.
God, that's crazy.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, I've never seen anything like that before. Eva said she'd seen it once before years ago, but so this is I didn't mean to interrupt Eva, but that's when she said we were doing some experiments the next night. That's we were trying to recreate what had happened.
I'm so excited, Don.
Yeah.
I'm jumping around. I'm so excited.
Why did that happen real quick? What was your theory behind why everybody's holding the planchette and the board started moving? Because I mean, that right there, I'm already on the, you know, just kind of this squeamish when it comes to the Ouija board. At that point, I would have been like, nope, I'm out. I would have walked away.
This girl claimed to grow up with entities around her. She's an empath. She said she's been an empath since she was 3 years old. And as soon as she got on the ship, she started showing us scratches that she had received in the third mess. And so there were scratches on one side of her shoulder and another side. We weren't quite sure if this was self-inflicted, maybe she scratched herself by accident, or if it was genuine. So we decided to go into the CPO mess room and set up the Ouija board to see how the entities, how the board, how she would react to it. And as soon as we had put our fingers on the planchette, and there's a video clip of it as well, the board started spinning. And I honestly think it started spinning because it was directly communicating towards her, because I had it sideways so that we could both see the letters, and the board turned to face her, specifically to face her. And
I think she said that, right? She said, "Are you moving the board so that you can talk directly with me?" And the board turned so that it was facing her.
Immediately flies to yes, and it's like it's just...
Exactly. And we had heard a growling. We could all hear a growling outside in the corridor of the room. And this same team had caught a really loud growl at the end of the night, a separate EVP of it that I had put up on Facebook as well. It was very...
I'm not gonna say the name, but it rhymes with no. You know, it's like at that point I'm just like, oh, we contacted the one we're not supposed to contact.
And
that
so the next
seems to be a given.
Yeah.
So the next night we had another group with us who happened to be using an SLS camera. So we had gathered in the CPO room. We used the same board, and we were trying to duplicate the same setting. The board initially started turning by itself again, but the woman with the SLS camera said, "Eva, there's someone on top of you right now." And as she would say it, the board would start to spin. And every time she saw something on her camera, she would voice it out to the group saying, "Eva, there's something on you right now." The board started to move. And that was our direct correlation, that there is something accurate. And on top of that, the K2s would go up in response to it as well.
Now, do you feel that? Because, you know, she'd say that there's something on you right now. Do you have a feeling like there's something there, like that? You know, you always have, it's colder, or you feel that sensation like something's there?
The only thing I did notice was that my hands, I could feel like there was a breeze on my hands on the when I had my fingers on the planchette, but I typically don't get like a weight or a feeling that something's on me or next to me.
Wow. Yeah, that's, man, I'm like, I'm into the story. Here we go. Let's go.
You start talking about the SLS, and Eva's right. Yeah. We really don't use it really don't use it very much. We got a pretty good video down at the Conjuring House, where the SLS picked up a figure, kind of in the fireplace, sort of, and one of the guys had a REM pod on the hearth. The video's kind of neat because it was Jimmy Hearn, actually, and as he reaches down to get his REM pod, it almost looks like the figure in the fireplace kind of reaches out to grab his arm as he's picking his REM pod. We have that video on the SLS.
Now, real quick, if you guys don't mind, I mean, either could you send a link to those two videos and either post it on us or just give them to me, and I'll link them so we can share them for people to actually see it, because those for anybody that hasn't seen them, like I said, that would be fantastic. And sure. I try to share your guys' stuff as much as I can, because I want to get you guys as much recognition as possible, because you guys are coming up with some amazing stuff from the ship and from your other investigations that you're doing. And in my amazing in-depth intros, I always leave out so much stuff. I mean, you guys don't charge anything for your investigations anyway. You go to do these just to find out what's going on.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's not about, I mean, and that's, all the stuff we do on the ship. Obviously that's not free. We charge people to come to the ship, but that money doesn't go to us. Every nickel that we get goes to the preservation of the Salem. We don't make any money.
It's just on you, Craig. I just looked up tickets and flights to go to Boston, so I'm ready to go. I don't know about you. But
Oh yeah,
I'm already planning this trip.
it's one of those. Yeah, it would be really fun to just be up there. If we could get to that point and just have it, at least if if a couple of us can get there. We all work in the same place, so it's real hard for us all to get the time off.
Leave on a Friday night, Saturday, and then
so Sunday. Yeah, so we would have to, if one of us like family vacation, and the other, have the other guys fly up real quick or do something, do something like that. We probably could pull it off. But yeah, we'll get it. We're gonna make this happen.
We'd love to have you, and we'd certainly figure something out. I mean, we have the ship pretty much whenever we want it. So we would figure something out. No question about
it. You've got some cots in that in your flat there, don't you? We could
you could say you could spend the night on the ship.
Oh, wouldn't that be awesome? Just, it's like the old school, and then you realize just why these ships were not made for 6'3" people.
Yeah,
right. As you're in the fetal position in the bunk.
That's true. It wouldn't be the most comfortable night of your life.
No,
but it might be most interesting. You're one of them.
Why is everybody in the Navy short? I'm going to show you why. Because the tall ones don't enjoy it too much. That's why you got to get into the officer thing real quick, so you actually have some leg room.
That's actually where we would stay.
Is the officers? That's awesome.
Yeah, when it's pretty rare, but I know when I slept on the ship, it's always been in an officer's stateroom. It's never been in bunks.
Have you ever woken up in with scratches and stuff and looked like, where did that come from? Been messed with while you're sleeping there, to think, all of a sudden you've just got some mark on you that you didn't have there before.
He's not pissing him off.
I've got to admit, the nights I've slept on the ship, I've slept like a baby. I haven't had any problems overnight. Sorry.
No, that's it's if we didn't say it last time, thank you for your service, by the way, too. Because you actually served in the Navy, and so that's. Yeah, and so that's probably why it has that home away from home feel. It's like, I'm back on the vessel. Just.
Well, that's certainly. I mean, when we talked about one of the entities on the ship, the chief, who's back aft, he and I have a little bit of a relationship. I think when the psychics come aboard, almost every single one of them immediately talks about the chief and about how much he enjoys us being around and how much he enjoys talking to me. I think it's a Navy thing. I think he's one of the spirits on the ship who didn't die on the ship. I think he came back there because it's where he wanted to be. I think that's where he resides for that reason.
And that's in kind of that thing. I mean, because there's always been that speculation of whether or not souls are trapped, souls decide to stay. And, one of those things, I'm wondering if that isn't one of those things, like if you don't want to cross over, you just have that option of just like, do you wander? Do you find a location to reside? And I wonder if a lot of people end up doing that, where they go to some location like Salem where you enjoyed your time there, and that's where you would rather spend your time, basically, for the foreseeable future, however time is, on the other side, basically for the rest of that time, just serving meals, doing stuff to the ghost crew.
And I've said this all along, and I mean, he's just one example of millions, I'm sure. But, I know that when I was in the service, I knew guys who, they came to the Navy from nothing. And when they left the Navy, they went back to nothing. And the ship was the only real home they ever had. The crew was the only real family they ever had. For, it was basically the happiest time of their life. And when it's over, that's where they want to go. It makes complete sense to me, honestly.
It's comforting too. I think the biggest thing about this field that I really like is just because everybody always has that thing. What happens at that moment? There's the theories that the light you see at the end of the tunnel is you being born into your next, into the next body. Like it's an instant one. But then you have all these stories, like obviously that's not the case. So it must be either a choice, or, because one, I think it was I'm trying to think, one of them, I think Chastity was the one that brought up there. He's like purgatory. And I'm like, I've always been a thing about purgatory. Where there's got to be a place, there's got to be either unfinished business. There's got to be something to where you're stuck here. You can't move on. You don't know how to move on. Or it's like you said, the chief, I want to be here. This is my home. This is my home. I'm comfortable here. I enjoy this. So it obviously must not be this terrible, event at the very end. Just obviously for us, it's just that terrifying thing of that initial crossover.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's, I think most people, people who say they're afraid of dying, I don't think they're afraid of dying so much as they're afraid of not living anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you said, it's a terrifying event, but people, one of the biggest issues I have with some of the people who do what we do is that they have a tendency to pigeonhole. And we've got to remember that we're dealing with people. So how many people do you know, and how many of them approach everything exactly the same? Any?
Yeah. No, that's an excellent point.
That's what we're dealing with. So there are as many reasons for why they go or why they stay or where they go as there are reasons for what you do over the course of the day. Right?
Yeah. And I was just, as you were saying that too, I was just thinking, I don't know if I've ever heard, anybody ask that series of questions. I mean, maybe you guys have too. It's just, have you ever got what happens at that moment? So like you're talking to somebody like, the chief, and just ask them, what happened when you passed? Because one of the things is like, what happens at that exact moment? It's like, could you tell us that moment when you knew, you're getting ready to die? What happened? I mean, what did you see? Because that's one of the questions. I don't know if I've ever heard anybody actually try to get that series of answers from during an investigation.
I got to tell you, I never have. Eva?
And so
I don't remember that line of questioning ever coming up, but it's worth looking into.
Yeah, it'd be a fantastic, because that's one of the biggest mysteries. What happens at that moment? And that's, so yeah, it's just, take it. There's no plagiarism. Take it. Ask away. I'll be watching.
Oh,
be
I
watching.
I was gonna steal it. I mean, that
Yeah,
was
please do.
Yeah, that was kind of a given.
Yeah, it was implied. It was implied. It was gone.
And you know, a lot of the stuff we're doing now, you know, you talk about the SLS and stuff, and you know, we use the SLS. We're using some FLIR, you know, heat technology, thermal technology now. But the truth is, we're really focusing more on communication than just evidence gathering at this point. You know, we're using dowsing rods more. We're using pendulums more. You know, Eva's using the board on the ship, which was something that we never did in the past. But I think, given the fact that things have changed, I think, you know, we're trying much harder to communicate and to get a better fix on who we're talking to and how they got there and why.
Yeah, well, and that's great too, because like I said, especially if you are in fact dealing with a possible like you know, I mean, if you could actually get to the point to where, I mean, you could start. I mean, we're talking book writing stuff. If you could actually start getting questions of like, how were you, you know, where did you originate from? How are you know, were you created? Was this something you were conjured? You know, what was? I mean, you could have all these series of questions if you, especially if you get to the point where you get, you know, I don't want to, but it's like as soon as you can befriend this person, you know, because I don't know if you really want to, you know, become best friends with a djinn. I'm not sure if that's, you know, if that's the appropriate, you know, some people might. I mean, you know, but how cool, yeah, how cool would that be to actually have those answers to where you can be like, you know, where did you originate from, and you get some response. You know, it's something like that, you know, to where evidence, and that's where I like the fact that you guys are using the traditional methods like the dowsing rods and stuff, because it seems, you know, when you're watching those things, there's, especially when you have the ones that are free where you've got the handles, is for people say, oh, you're just making them happen. You can't. It free spins. I mean, you're holding those things, and when that rod moves,
mine are yeah, there's like a sleeve. The rod itself is in a copper sleeve, so I'm not touching the rod itself.
Because there's everybody thinks it's like, oh yeah, you're just doing this, you're just making it move. I'm like, no, you can't. I mean, it's free spinning. It's like I can hold as tight as I want. That thing will just spin around.
Yeah, and it's just I don't know. It's just so much more personal. You know what I mean? It's just so much more personal. But again, you know, the problem we have in communicating with this particular entity is that in a lot of cases we don't know who the hell we're talking to. We have a great video from the hospital aboard the ship, and Jimmy Hearn has taken video. One of the guys, Lou, this particular night, Lou seemed to be the one that this thing was interested in talking to. We had a bunch of instruments on one of the hospital beds, and it was kind of great because they were all going in stereo. In a, you know, you see sometimes that they go at the same time, they light at the same time, and things of this nature. But I've never seen anything like this where they were perfectly in sync, every instrument in the room. And it was kind of funny because one of the women, Sandra, at some point threw a K2 from where she was sitting onto that bunk, and it just kind of joined in.
Wow.
And Lou was asking these questions, and, you know, it was about, you know, were you hurt in an accident on the ship and all these things. And it was answering, and we kind of figured out that it was one of the guys that was injured on the the John R. Pierce, which is a destroyer that had an accident near the Salem. And as Lou was asking these questions, at one point he said, "So you were hurt in the accident in turret number 3?" And it said yes. Well, turret number 3 wasn't on the Pierce. Turret number 3 is on the Salem. So at that point I said, you're a goddamn liar is what you are. And on the,
That's awesome.
and on the video, you see this, and I'm not an orb guy by any stretch of the imagination, but you see what appears to be a ball of light shoot off of the bunk where all the instruments are, and it goes around some poles and out the door of the hospital. And that was it. We never heard another word, never saw another lick of activity the whole rest of the time we were in there.
Wow.
So we get the feeling that it kind of said, yeah, you're on to me, screw this. and he just took off.
That's awesome. You called out a ghost. I'm not dealing with your bullshit. No. Yeah, that's fantastic. Just smack down the lies right there.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got, we're trying to do something. You know what I mean? You gotta fight your way through that garbage, and Eva can tell you the times Eva has kind of a little bit of a relationship with a young girl on the ship, Lucy, and there have been a number of times when I think Eva thought she was talking to Lucy, and all of a sudden at some point it turns out that's not who she's talking to at all.
Yeah, which makes you kind of wonder if it's the little girl Lucy who's actually 7 years old and you can hear her singing or humming, or is it something more menacing, pretending to be a little girl? So now we're trying to get a grasp on what it is we're actually dealing with. Yeah,
that's one of the things, whether you look at the made for TV ghost hunting, we'll leave the names out because we don't want to anger the crowds. But when you have those things like the edited stuff, you always wonder, because that seems to be a common theme where the younger child seems to be, and it's just like any horror movie, it's always the bait. When you see the little kid running in the hall, don't go after the little kid. I want to save him. Yeah, no, don't go running after the little kid. I go, when they do, they're like, yeah, he did. He's gone. What do you think is is it that reason? Is just because that instinct, that natural instinct of protection, and that's why they come as a child in that way to try to get, it's like, you guys aren't gonna, you're not gonna put your guard up when you're dealing with a child. It'd be easier to get access to you.
Oh, absolutely. I tend to bring my guard down when it comes to women and children, spirits especially, to the point that sometimes they just follow me home. And with the little girl Lucy, when I'm thinking of a girl, like the little girl, 7-year-old, a child wandering around the ship, of course I'm going to open myself up to her. Is that the best thing I should be doing? Probably not. I should probably ward that stuff off. But I do, as a mom, just kind of reach out for that kind of stuff. I want to help them.
Yeah. And then the other one, like you always see, like the stuff, like you were talking about that one that was pretending to be turret 3, going the things, but that led to a question I had on the list to ask you guys too, is now when a spirit, so they're in a ship, they get, injured, like they're blown up and the stuff, do they come across in that way, especially when you have the senses with you where you can see the injuries? Or is it one of those things where once you pass on, you've kind of been restored to like a natural state? Because that's always been the question of like whether you're a 2-year-old or a 99-year-old that dies, what do you look like on the other side? I don't have those abilities, so I can't tell you what I can see, through the psychic. But what do those psychics see? Do they see the person as they died, or do they see them as that person, like their own, like the way they visualize themselves or the way they project themselves out?
From my experience with the psychics and sensitives, they do see them as the injured people, like the really grotesque injury. They are not healed. They're not restored by any means. And I'm not sure if it's because they're stuck on the ship or because they're not moving on, because I've heard the same thing. You're restored, you're young, you're youthful, you don't feel pain anymore. But for whatever reason on the ship, the psychics do see them as still injured and hurt.
Yeah, because I picture almost like the movie Beetlejuice at that point. You got you're sitting there in the waiting room, with the pitchfork in your neck, waiting with your number, waiting for you to be called, so you could get there and get your book. It's just, and I've wondered, it's like, why, what is the difference? And that's what I was kind of after. It's like, I was curious if when they're on there, because you don't see that there's obviously nobody's going to sit through a 12 or 13 hour video. You always have to edit some stuff down unless you're doing a live broadcast, but that's, so you don't ever hear that stuff. And that's what, so that's good to know.
Yeah, no, he was right. The psychics that we've had aboard, at least the ones that we know, you know what I mean? The ones who we see as friends, incredible. They have tended to see the injured, the wounded as they were, as what happened to them. We had a woman on board not that long ago who crossed someone over, she said, in the hospital. She said a very, very angry man who was bleeding and who obviously had a lot of problems. And she said she hadn't planned on doing anything. And she said suddenly her spirit guide said to her, tell this guy the answers to all his problems are in the light and he needs to go to the light. And she said that's exactly what he did. But she saw him as a guy that was bleeding and wounded in a number of places, which is kind of interesting because I haven't the slightest idea, where that might have come from.
The chief, how do they, like, and this is one of those things it just popped in my head. Have you guys, I mean, I'm sure you guys have got photographs of these people, like the chief from when he served on the ship.
No.
Have you been able, if not, have you ever thought about getting, like, just having an artist rendering, so when you have one of the sensitives on there and you actually could describe the appearance and actually have somebody draw them for you?
I can't believe
it. Something to consider, John.
I can't believe we never thought of that.
They all describe them, but we never thought to ask somebody to draw them up.
Because when you have those people saying, it's like, I could see him right there. Well, that's the one. It's like at that point, okay, I see him with a mustache. I see him with his nose kind of like the ear, just have it. And then when you have the criminal, the name's failing me. Why can't I think of the name? The artist, just the one that they always do for the suspects.
Yes.
Well done. It's terrible.
Well done, Craig.
Yeah,
You're a true wordsmith.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, this is why we come here, is for these eloquent passages that I come up with. Yeah.
That would have been perfect. Eva, what was it? 3 weeks ago that Maria and Allison were on the ship, and we had a psychic on the ship who talked at length about a man who was standing right next to her, trying to intimidate her. It would have been perfect to have somebody there who could have drawn him. Perfect.
Thank you, April. Yeah, forensic artist.
Thanks, April.
Yes. But yeah. So there's be some, see if there's somebody that would be willing to come on and do that as a way too, because I think that would just be fantastic. Because then you guys could actually have a physical, idea of like who you're meeting, especially and that's where what kind of made me think about that is I wonder if like a spirit, when they cross over, if they want to be there, it's like we were talking about, they come over as they want to be seen. But if it's somebody that's trapped there, that's why they're looking like that one did, bleeding, disfigured, the injuries, is because they're not meant to be there. They're like refusing to cross.
That's as good an explanation as anything else, I would think. It's kind of funny because the questions, some of the questions we've started asking, I spoke to I spoke to Lucy's mother not long ago. I have a couple of times. And one of the things I asked her was whether or not she spoke English before. Mm-hmm. And she said she did not. And then I asked her, I said, well, when you're speaking to Lucy or Nico, who was a young man who's aboard the ship from the earthquake in Greece, I say, when you're speaking to Lucy or to Nico, do you speak English then? And she said, no. She only speaks English to me.
And so that's definitely, because I think we talked about that in the last show too, where I've always laughed when you see those investigations when they go to some foreign country and they ask all the questions in English.
Yeah.
I'm like, the person speaks fluent German. I'm pretty sure when you're like, hey, how are you tonight? Are you here? They don't understand a word you're saying. I might want to have some of this that knows the language to speak the sentences for you.
Don, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we have a theory that once you cross over, there is no language barrier?
Yeah.
Correct.
That was the thinking. That was the thinking behind asking the questions. Was that they can basically understand, if they want to talk to you, they can understand what you're saying and they can respond. So yeah, that's what I very specifically asked her. Did she speak English before she died? And she said no. She said she only speaks English when she's talking to us.
And that's kind of where, just like you were saying there too. I mean, that's also something when you have spirit telling you, no, I speak English to this person, but I speak Greek to these people, which that's pretty amazing when you have something saying I've used different languages. So that at that point, I mean, it almost speaks like it's either by choice or is it through necessity. Like it's it's your fluent tongue, so you feel more.
In our case, obviously, it's by necessity.
Mm-hmm.
Because if she the expression "it's all Greek to me" is literal to me.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Especially for the,
I wouldn't understand anything, and I wouldn't get responses to any of my questions because they wouldn't understand anything I was asking them. No, I think and Eva's right. We've talked about it and we've played with the spirits on the ship by way of experimentation, and I think we came to the conclusion some time ago that there really is no language barrier when you try to speak to them.
That's cool. It's one of those for anybody that has go to the Greater Boston Paranormal Associates page. Watch it. You guys can see the videos and clip. And I think Eva, were you going to send that to or post it? Yeah. So we'll get those up there.
I'll share it with you. Okay,
perfect. And we'll get those up there so people can see those too, because that's one I want everybody to see these things and go like their page, follow them. It's definitely amazing stuff. Some of the things that you guys have started really getting. And do you guys have anything coming up that you're really excited about, like location wise, other than the Salem, or are you pretty much in the near future just the Salem?
We're going back to New York, to the Hinsdale house. That's something that we've been called back to, like at least the feeling of calling back to that place.
Wildwood Sanitarium in September.
Yes.
Or in October. Yeah,
are we going to be over?
It's tough. It's tough because, as we were saying, the ship is so busy. Mm-hmm. But I think we've made more of an effort this season to get off of the ship, and we went to Penhurst not too long ago, Penhurst Asylum. We are, as Eva said, we're going back to the Hinsdale house in September, which she's absolutely right. It's one of those places where I don't know what it is, but we seem to find ourselves drawn back there. This will be my fourth time. So we're anxious to get back up there. Wildwood Sanitarium is in the same neighborhood as Hinsdale, and we're going to go there for the first time here shortly. We had an investigation planned for Saturday night that, as I said, fell through. That was something we were very, very excited about. It's someplace no one's ever investigated, so I can't really talk about it. we're right now we're looking to go back looking to go back I think the end of the month.
Oh, nice.
So,
Oh yeah,
absolutely. We'll be able to talk about it afterwards, but right now I can tell you this: it's the place when I first started ghost hunting. It's the place I wanted to go, and when I was told by one of our crew now works there, and when he told me, he said that place is it's Moby Dick to my Ahab. So,
oh wow,
we've been calling this investigation Operation White Whale
for the longest time. Oh my, yeah. So
and unfortunately, because of all the rain this past week, it's not in a situation that we can get in there right now. But we're hoping it dries out a little bit and we can get in the end of the month. Once we've been in there, we can talk about it. But
I would love to see the GBPA to make a trip to Bobby Mackey's at some point. I'd love to see you guys there.
Yes, Don, let's go.
Wilder, Kentucky.
I always say this. We've worked very hard in terms of membership. I think we've worked very hard at the quality over quantity approach to membership. But one of the problems with having a group that consists primarily of responsible adults is that they all have the damn responsible adult shit they got to do.
Oh yeah, trust me. I mean, if I put a pin for every location I want to go to and stuff, I basically need to take off from work and not show back for about 3.5 months. Yeah, because it's just, it's like it's be great for you guys to get there, but when you actually look at the map, it's not exactly close.
No.
It's funny though, and this is going to be news to Eva. Today we were talking about a couple of locations that I don't think we're going to get to anytime soon. But what I'm going to propose to the gang is that we pick a date for next spring, so that we all have plenty of advance notice, and we pick a major league location, regardless of where it is. My personal favorite, I think, is the Axe Murder House in Iowa.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe the Sally House in Atchison. But we pick a place, a major league place, and we all decide, hell or high water, this is where we're going to friggin' go. No, you know what I mean? Myrtle's Plantation or someplace completely off the wall where we've always wanted to go. And like I said, it's tough when we're all grown-ups. Mm-hmm. We got kids and jobs and all that stuff that you got to deal with. I'm fortunate. I'm fortunate because my kids are older and I don't have to worry. You know what I mean? I don't have ball games or dance recitals anymore, but a lot of the gang does, and I'm sympathetic to that, of course. So
ours is hurricanes.
We work at it.
Yeah, we work for an entity where if there's a hurricane, even if we're on vacation, we get called back.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And yeah, it's like, so if it's one of those things, because we work in the part that we do the job, we're critical for keeping it up and running. And so if we're not supposed to talk about it on air. That's why I'm being so cryptic. We have, it's, so what we do is, what we do for them, it's critical of keeping everything up and running. And so, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. We could be on the other side of the country and they're like, nope, you need to get on a plane, get back here. They'll reimburse you, but it's one of those. Still, it's like it's so hard from June to October. You can't really plan anything major.
My last trip is in July.
And then you guys are not exactly the most fun location to go to in December and January. I really don't feel like flying into Boston, in the middle of winter.
I was going to ask you because I'm taking a trip up to Indiana end of February, and I was like, it's only a 14-hour drive, but I'm like, that's through all the snow states, and I live in Florida. I'm not used to snow, so I'm just going to fly to Boston. Are there any places in Indiana that are haunted you know of?
Indiana?
Yeah.
Not off the top of my head. Not off the top of my head.
I'm not familiar with Indiana. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so we definitely need to, that's like, it's all talk, but man, I've got the list. I mean, you guys are right up there where when we get up this thing, like last time, it was about a year and a half ago, we were in DC. And so next time, like I said, when we get up around the New York area, it's like, I definitely want to hook that right and end up in Massachusetts and check that out, because that's a state I've never been to.
Well, like I said, we'd love to have you, and we're so fortunate to have the ship. In fact, we go other places and we find that we're spoiled, because of the activity that we run into on the ship. Yeah, there you go.
That's what Arthur just
at the nudge, saying that we are definitely spoiled by the activity that we see every weekend. Some of us are going to be in Gettysburg. April, I'm going to be in Gettysburg. Are you talking about the bash in August? Because I'm going to be there. Jimmy Hearn and I will be there. I don't know who else is going.
So if you can go, it's a meet and greet for the Greater Boston Paranormal. Meet and greet in Gettysburg. Everybody, go there and get your autographs.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's like, if you go, April, get one for me. You got to get one for me.
It's the funniest thing, and I guess it's a statement about the tiny size of the pond we swim in. Because what group was it, Eva, that we were coming off the ship, and one of the people in the group saw my car, which is a Camry hybrid, and she was disappointed because she said, I don't know, I expected a Tesla or a Hummer or something. I mean, you're a TV star, right?
Oh, right, because we're swimming in money.
I know.
The first nickel I make off doing this stuff, the next nickel I make off doing this stuff will be the first one.
Yep. Yeah. It's one of those, everybody's just like, oh, you guys do this. No, it's like, you don't understand. I'm like, it's one of those, you don't do it for the money. It's for the fun. I mean, it's if you
the money.
Yeah, it's honestly, if you could get, that's our goal. It's like, if we could get that one sponsor that could pay just pay for everything that we use here, and then just do this, that's great. I go, but the odds of us, everybody has a dream of, I'm going to be like Joe Rogan. I'm going to be like these things. It's like, don't we all wish we could do that? I mean, don't we all wish we could just sit here and earn hundreds of millions of dollars from Spotify on contracts for doing it? But we do it for the fun. We do it.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, I did it for this, what we're doing right now, to just have a conversation with people.
And I told you, you're one of the reasons that our podcast does the way it does, or we run it the way we run it. Is that when we were on your show last time and started watching you guys, I said, oh man, this is what we want to do. We have a subject, and that's what we talk about, but we are definitely prone to digressions. And if we're not having fun, you know what I mean? And if we're not having fun, then who the hell wants to do it anyway? So, we have a good time and we just bang stuff around. Generally, we start off, I think 2 weeks ago, I led the podcast and for the first 10 minutes extolled the virtues of the air fryer that I got for Father's Day.
That's awesome. I mean, that's what you go for, is the real, for the real talk, because that's
absolutely. And if once in a while you get lucky, Pat and I will get into a throwdown about something once in a while, and that's always fun. Mm-hmm. It's not fun if you always agree on everything either. So.
You should hear some of the behind the scenes conversations me and Chris have.
Oh, God.
Yeah, there's been a couple of times I've hung up on him on the phone. I'm just like, oh my God.
I'm the child that mom and dad are fighting, and I'm awkwardly sitting on the phone like, I don't know what to do here. So I'm just gonna be quiet.
Yeah, that's the beauty. I mean, it's like he wishes he could be here, but I told him, I'd be upset with him if he was, because if he's there seeing his brand new, nephew. Just born.
Yep,
Yeah, I was
there you
born.
go.
Yeah, I think.
Congratulations.
Yep. And so that's, yeah, Arthur, I totally disagreed on. There we go. Throw down in the comments.
Arthur's giving himself away. He created this pseudonym for himself, and then he gives himself away every time he opens his mouth or hits the keyboard.
That's right. Well, guys, like I said, before I go, I'm going to do you an honest disservice if I do not point this out here. Let's bring this up on screen here.
Uh-oh.
We have, for everybody, it's the Greater Boston Paranormal Associates. They have their own website, the GBPA.com. You go there. Not only just gives you information on them, follow them on Facebook, follow them on Twitter. They're also on Instagram, and I think it's the same thing, isn't it? At the GBPA on Instagram. Yep. And then you also have, just drop down, this tells you all about the team, the investigations they're doing. You can also, it's direct link for the email address, so that way you can book a tour on the USS Salem and get with them, on the next available thing for them too. So that's, I wanted to, was there anything I missed on that?
Check out the Paranormal 101 section of the website. I didn't mean you right now. I just meant in general.
I was just following orders. Yes, sir. There's
just a lot of different stuff there. Some of it's a little outdated, but there's other stuff, articles about stuff, stream of consciousness about this and that. So, that definitely can create a login. But yeah, you've got, like I said, there's a USS Salem. So right there, click here to pick the date. You're on your way. Private investigation experience. It's like, I don't know if I'd want to lay on that. I don't think I'd be interested in laying on that for the investigation. We'll leave that for Austin. Yeah, he's going to be like the one from the show that's not mentioned. The one that always gets locked in the jail cells and stuff. Just like, why don't you go hang out there? Why don't you go hang out there while we go watch the video? I mean, craft service.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. But everybody, they put on really, really amazing tours. Once you watch the videos, like those links that will be up on our page and stuff, we'll get those. You'll fall in love with their things, and also with their show. Thursdays, 7 p.m. They always have a varying lineup. Really, honestly, and I mean this, Dawn, Eva, you guys have become really good friends of us, and I said it's been an absolute honor. Not only being able to talk with you twice now, but also just the fact of just having conversations, because this is what this is for. And I wish more people in this, it doesn't matter if you're in the cryptid field, if you're in the paranormal field, I wish more people would be like this with each other, because this whole fighting about, I do it the better way, you guys aren't doing it right, it doesn't get anywhere.
No, there's no percentage in it. It doesn't make any sense. And Craig, I've told you 100 times how much I appreciate. When we first started the podcast, you and I would usually talk the next day about how it went, and how much I really have appreciated that. It's been valuable beyond measure, and I've really appreciated it. And not only that, but we actually know somebody's watching the damn thing. So
that's a good thing. It is. Like I said, I try to share it into. There's usually 2 or 3 groups that I'm part of. I share your guys' show in as well. So hopefully that's driven some viewers your guys' way too.
It has.
Good.
It has. But like I said, I've really appreciated it. And,
it's
and I feel the same way. I think you guys, you guys are friends at this point, and we've really enjoyed going back and forth and the relationship.
Well, April, you can meet him in person one day in August at Gettysburg. Make that jaunt over there, and like I said, and get my autograph. Go get my autograph.
Yeah,
I
we're
don't
gonna
care
be
if it's a
there.
cocktail
I'm
night.
gonna be there Friday to Sunday. Gonna be there Friday to Sunday, April. I'll seek you out.
I don't care. I don't. I'm sure if you drink it or not. But even if it's a Sam Adams, bottle, I don't care. Just have them autograph something. Put it in a container. Send it back. I'm sorry. That was cliche, wasn't it? That everybody from Boston drinks Sam Adams.
It's
That
good
was
though. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's really good.
I
cliche.
gotta tell you. So I don't drink. It's been almost 29 years.
Congratulations.
And one of the great regrets, my son and I were just talking about the other day. I've never had a Sam Adams. There was no Sam Adams.
Wow.
What do you drink, Eva?
There was no Sam Adams when I quit drinking. I keep threatening one day to have one, but I'm not sure.
At that point, though, I mean, that would almost be a crime in itself of ruining that streak. I mean, when you get to that many years, it's just like anything. When you get to a certain point of I've done it for this long, they're like, well, just one time. I'm like, I go, you just thrown away all that whole streak. I mean, it's like Cal Ripken, just getting right to the point of where it's just like, hey, you're going to beat the streak. Nah, I decided to take the day off.
Yeah, no, I'm going to take the day off.
Yeah, it's like, what do you mean you're going to take the day? Well, I just want to know what it's like to just sit back and not do anything. No. I'll personally drive over to Pennsylvania and smack that Sam Adams out of your hand. No, you're not ruining your streak, sir.
What do you drink, Eva?
Yeah,
and shots.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, no, I never really drank. I told myself when I was younger, I'm not going to drink. And I had Budweiser and stuff. And someone gave me a Sam Adams. I'm like, this is actually really good. I'm not going to lie.
I mostly flavored water is what is in this.
Yeah, I'm trying to stick to water now.
Yeah, that's the thing. But guys, thank you so much. Oh yeah.
What dates are you going to be down there in August?
Yeah, Friday to Sunday. What is it? The 20th to the 21st
Of August?
Yeah, the 20th to the 22nd. Gotcha. Friday the 20th to the 22nd.
April has Yingling, which is a sponsor of UCF. So I definitely got to have Yingling from now on.
Oh,
yep.
Just in Pennsylvania too, April. Oh. We'll have to go back, regroup.
So,
yeah,
guys,
we were there long ago.
Yeah, I just look at the time. I've kept you guys on for a lot longer. This is one of those things where you can just sit here and talk for a long time. I said, but you guys, like I said, we talked about. We've all got lives. We got, we can't sit here and do this forever. So, but Dawn, Eva, thank you guys again for coming on. If you were willing to do this, we will do this again for sure. Have you guys back on
anytime you want us. You just let us know.
Yeah. As long as I don't double book you again and tell you guys that you have to wait a week.
Don't worry about it.
So I'm a public apology.
You just put us in our place. That was cool.
No,
that was fine.
No, this is my public apology to them. I am so sorry. I don't have it in front of me, but for Father's Day, I told my wife I needed a day planner. So I actually have a hardcover day planner that's in my bag, and I actually, as I get stuff, I write it in there as soon as I hear about it. Because what happened is our guests from last time, I forgot to put them on the schedule, and I had Dawn and Eva coming in last week, and I had to do the call of shame and inform Dawn that I'm an idiot, and I booked them on the wrong day, and so they were gracious and decided it was not enough of a slight to cancel, so they decided to come on this week. So for that, I thank you. So, guys, have a great evening. Best of luck on the next. I think you said Saturday you're going to be doing one on the Salem, right?
We have a private on Friday.
Friday.
Yep, we have a private on Friday, and then Saturday, like I said, I fell through, so I think we're gonna go and hang around and see what we can stir up.
Awesome. Well, hey, good luck. I hope you guys get some great results and get some information and see about getting that forensic artist, because I really would like to see the pictures.
That's a great idea, boy.
So,
that's one of those things, you kick yourself because you think all the opportunities we've had and we never even considered it.
I'm just glad. It just makes me happy that, I possibly could have contributed, even though not being there, that I maybe have got something that's gonna add something to it. So that's pretty cool. I hope that works out. So awesome. Well, hey, have a fantastic night. And like I said, we will be in touch.
Absolutely. Talk again soon.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
All right, everybody. Everybody, this was brought to you by Nanny Cakes. Go to Nanny Cakes 407 on Facebook, or give her a phone call at 407-923-2898. Mention the Three Beards podcast or 3B, or just whatever you want to do. Just say, I really need a cake after listening to those two guys. She will take pity on you and save 15% on that cake order. And if it's outside of the Central Florida area, we will give you a monogrammed spork, because it's going to come to you in a nice little mass. So however you want to eat it, that's fine with us, and she will appreciate it. Go to redbubble.com. Three Beards Podcast is the name of our merchandise shop. You can check that out. You can support the show that way. Highly recommend it. We've had 4 people buy shirts, including the 5th one, which was Austin. He's wearing his sand sleeves right now, but the logo's on the back, like we talked about, because he's learning this magical thing called reading. So it's, the reading is fundamental. So he figured that out. So make sure you order the logo on the front.
Turn your shirt around.
Yeah. Or just stand up so people can say, hey, see, there you go. Yep. See, that's still, actually, it looks kind of pretty cool in the back too.
Oh, yeah, it looks good in the way. It's a good workout shirt.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. We really liked it. Patriot Radio every Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern time. We are rebroadcast there, courtesy of J&J Beard Company. Go to jjbeardco.com. Thank them for doing that. Download the Xeno Radio app so you can watch that. Download. Listen to me. I feel like this is the first time I've ever done this show, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Go to all the social medias and click subscribe, like, share. Try to help us grow. We just hit 200 subscribers on YouTube, which is fantastic. Let's see if we can grow, because we want to see that 1,000, because that actually is amazing. Helps there. But everybody, thank you for watching. Go to the GBPA.com, support them, and book that tour on the Salem and meet them personally. So that way you can see that these two and the rest of the gang are as cool as they are on the show in real life, and you will have a blast. Go like them on their page on Facebook. Support them. Everybody, thank you for watching. You guys have a great night. Good night.
Good night, everybody.